Okay, looks like we're live. Hello everyone, my name is Verde Arbusto. This is the Schumann Resonance Harmonics group on Facebook and on YouTube. It is the 30th of July, 2020. It's Thursday. Hard to believe it's Thursday already. Alright, so the purpose of this video is to talk about vertigo. Now, I'm sure there is a medical condition related to vertigo. Okay, I'm not going to be going through that. I have briefly introduced the medical-related vertigo condition. The acronym is BPPV, I think, and I'll get into that in just a minute. That's not what this is. This is possible vertigo related to Schumann resonances. Again, Schumann resonances are electromagnetic frequency peaks. They are standing waves or interference waves and not longitudinal propagating waves. These are not wavelength frequencies. These are the Schumann resonances are electromagnetic standing waves. The resonance frequencies are the difference between two different frequency waves. Okay, so we're going to talk about vertigo. All right, so I have a little diagram here of the three basic things I'm going to cover. All right, so I guess the first one, there it is, benign proximal posterior vertigo. Okay, so BPPV, that's the abbreviation. All right. So this basically here is the utricles, they call these. This is the hold on. Okay. These are the semicircular canals, the utricles. And what they're showing you here, you can't even really see it, but I'll be scooting in a little bit later. These are little crystals, okay, that line the wall. I think the video before the last one, we talked about these little crystals. When they get loose, they can also cause havoc. They cause dizziness and vertigo in your head when these little crystals get loose. So there's a medical condition, that's what they're talking about, benign paroxysmal posterior vertigo, as caused by these loose crystals. So in both cases, the tinnitus and with the vertigo, there are medical causes for this, and we have already ruled those out. This is not what we're dealing with here. This is related to the Schumann harmonics resonances. All right. So, or the Schumann resonance harmonics. All right. So these are the semicircular canals. All right. Now, this here, wonderful thing, in case you haven't seen it before, this is a gyroscope. Okay. There's an inner rotating disc right here. Then there's this axle here. Then there's axle here. And then there's another one somewhere here. You know, 1, 2, 3. All right. 1, 2, and then it's rotating. And then, all right. So you have the three basic, I may not be explaining this well, but you have the three basic axes of motion. So as this spinning disc is spinning, it creates a type of force. It's a gravitational force that keeps it always perpendicular. We'll say. It keeps it always returning back to true, okay? That's basically what these are. These canals, the semicircular canals, these are filled with fluid. The crystals on there need to all be intact to give you this self-righting ability. If the crystals are loose, in our medical condition, the crystals have dislodged, you will get that vertigo feeling because the crystals are loose, they've fallen off, they're knocking around, and they also are not in alignment. So in order for you to feel balance and upright, these crystals all have to be intact and they all have to be aligned up. Okay. This last thing here, this wonderful jammy here, this is a GIF, an animated GIF that this was supposed to be. This is not animated, but you would see that the arrows here are deforming the walls of this piezoelectric substance. All right, and we'll get into this a little bit. What that's showing you is as the mechanical motion pushes up and down on this, you get an electric charge. Also, if you apply an electric charge to this, these walls will move. So it works both ways. This is the piezoelectric principle that a certain types of crystals and certain other things will, basically crystals will start moving, they'll oscillate if you apply a electric charge to them. Okay. All right. Okay, there's that. All right, so we're going to read what the Mayo Clinic says, Q&A, dizziness caused by inner ear crystals. All right, so we're looking at this from the medical condition. All right, let me scoot in here. All right, so as you see, actually, getting close. So this right here so the semicircular canal, this is filled with fluid. She's showing you when you canalith repositioning procedure. So they have you through a series of coordinated movements. This is a sales pitch, obviously, but they're telling you this is the treatment for these loose crystals is getting up in a certain direction and a certain they call coordinated movements. All right. So, dear Mayo Clinic, what causes benign paroxysmal positional vertigo, and is there a treatment for it? Answer. BPPV or BPPV is one of the most common causes of vertigo or dizziness. BPPV is characterized by sudden bursts of vertigo that are caused by head movements, such as sitting up or tilting your head. What leads to the development of BPPV isn't known, but it's more common in older adults. Once you develop BPPV, the bursts of dizziness typically occur after you change the position of your head, such as when you roll out of bed. BPPV also may cause nausea and possible vomiting, with a feeling of lingering fatigue, queasiness, or a feeling of imbalance. Without treatment, these symptoms may last for as little as 1 day to as long as weeks or months. Fortunately, with proper diagnosis, a simple procedure may be all it takes to treat BPPV. Our sense of balance relies on a finely tuned system that coordinates sensory information from nerves throughout your body and visual information to help you determine position of your body relative to your surroundings. BPPV is a result of tiny crystals in your inner ear being out of place. The crystals make you sensitive to gravity and help you to keep your balance. Normally, a jelly-like membrane in your ear keeps the crystals where they belong. If the ear is damaged, often by a blow to the head, the crystals can shift to another part of the ear. When they are out of position, the crystals make you sensitive to movement and position changes that normally don't affect you, sparking vertigo. Okay. So, the most common cause of vertigo is these loose crystals, which when you move, you notice. And that makes sense. If they are dislodged from where they were, you moving will cause that vertigo, and sitting down will correct that, or laying down corrects it because they're not moving anymore. Okay. So this is important to know that ruling this out, that the official BPPV is a result of tiny crystals in your inner ear being out of place. So what happens when you don't have that and you get a sense of vertigo from just standing there or not moving, but it's like overwhelming, and it's really, really overwhelming? Okay. This is what we're talking about. And again, this is once a medical condition is ruled out, we're only talking about this from the perspective of the Schumann resonance harmonics, which is, again, electromagnetic frequency radiation that is in the environment all around us all the time. Okay. All right, so they're talking about the repositioning treatment for BPPV can be done in your doctor's office, canalith repositioning procedures. All right, so I'll leave the link for this. This is interesting reading. All right, so I think the ear crystals. All right, so this is Sanford Health. Ear crystals, what they are and how they can cause dizziness. Your crystals are like a concrete. Once concrete cracks, it keeps cracking. All right, so this is important to know. And once again, we're looking to examine the traditional vertigo, which would say, I have vertigo. Well, is it this official condition? And so it's important to be able to distinguish if this is only coming from the Schumann resonances and how you can kind of tell. All right. So Sanford Health, this is sanfordhealth.org. It's one of those body parts that just sounds a little funny. Ear crystals. Ear crystals. We all have them. And if you're feeling vertigo, they might be to blame. While they're tiny, these calcium... I'll make sure you got all this. Okay. While they're tiny, these calcium carbonate substances are actually the cause of most dizziness that audiologists Jessica Haig, AUD, CCC-A, sees at the Sanford Health Institute for Nose, Ear, Eye, Throat Clinic. In our ears is a branch that houses hearing and an off branch that houses balance. Within the balance branch, we have tiny crystals in a gelatin area. These ear crystals are supposed to stay home in this gelatin area, but when they get dislodged, the person may feel dizzy. The human balance system is very delicate, and our vestibular or sensory system is finely tuned, so any disruption has huge implications. Hello. The most common type of vertigo is benign paroxysmal positioning vertigo, BPPV, and it is a disruption of the tiny crystals within the inner ear. These crystals help us know where our head is at in space, Dr. Hag said. When they are dislodged, the crystals float around in the liquid area of the balance branch of the inner ear, and you will start to feel off balance. The loose crystals will start to make people feel like they are spinning, and the room is spinning around with them. If you are 60 or older, you are more prone to having your ear crystals dislodge. Many athletes are also more prone, especially if they have had a lot of head trauma. Because this is a calcium deposit, there may also be an increase of cases for women after they have gone through menopause. Okay. Once your crystals have become loose, you are more susceptible to experiencing it again. The gelatin is home to all your crystals. Thus, if you have experienced one bout of dizziness, you are at a greater risk for further occurrences. And he says here, quote, your crystals are like concrete. Once concrete cracks, it keeps a-cracking, Dr. Hag said. Okay. Symptoms of loose ear crystals. Okay. Dizziness. Let's scoot up just a hair. Okay. Dizziness can be caused by many things. So how do you know that your dizziness is due to crystals loose within your ear? If you have loose crystals, any movement causes dizziness. The dizziness will subside within 30 seconds of initially having it, but it may come back with movement, even if it is as simple of bending to tie your shoe. Okay. Often many patients end up in the emergency room because dizziness is often a common symptom of a stroke and can be confused for BPPV. When your crystals are in place and where they should be, they let you know what motion you are making. When dislodged, the crystal is floating in the water and causing ripples. This will cause nausea, so people will usually throw up from it. Some other symptoms will include your eyes ticking, and you will feel like the room is spinning around you. Okay. All right, so he's talking about treatment. I'm not going to get into this. Mayo Clinic, I think I already done that. Oh, the gyroscope. All right, hold on a sec. I'm going to pause this. Okay. Semicircular duct. Okay. This is from ScienceDirect.com. Okay. Website. I don't know if you can see the website address up here. Okay. You may not be able to see it anyway. All right. So this is where I'm at the browser, ScienceDirect.com. And this is a discussion on what is the semicircular duct. Okay. And I'm going to read to you what this says. This is text, this is boring stuff. All right. But this is really important to know because this is where we're going with this. Okay. The vestibular system. The Vestibular System by J.D. Dickman in Fundamental Neuroscience for Basic and Clinical Applications, 5th edition. A roaring, riveting read there. The 2018 edition. Okay. Function of semicircular canals. Okay. Whoop. Function of semicircular canals. The membranous semicircular duct can be thought of as a fluid-filled tube with a partition, the cupula in the middle, and then they have a figure, 22.6b. Because the utricles are located medially compared with the horizontal canals on each side of the head, the hair cells of the complementary left and right semicircular canals are oppositely polarized. This is really important to notice. The hair cells of the complementary left and right semicircular canals are oppositely polarized. An example is seen in rotational head movements made in the horizontal plane, figure 22.9. When the head is stationary, no angular acceleration, the endolymph in the cupula remains still, and the afferents from the two horizontal semicircular canals fire at the same resting rate, which is a frequency, figure 22.9. When the head turns to the right or the left, however, the horizontal semicircular ducts turn with it, but the endolymph lags behind, owing to inertial forces and to the viscous drag between the fluid and the duct wall. The lagging endolymph deflects the cupula, which in turn deflects the stereocilia of the hair cells. As figure 22.9 shows, a leftward turn of the head causes the stereocilia of the left horizontal canal ampule to be deflected toward the canocilia, resulting in an increased excitation in the discharge rate of the eighth nerve efferents on the left side. Simultaneously, the hair cells in the right horizontal canal ampule are hyperpolarized. Stereocilia are deflected away from the canocilium, so their afferents show a decreasing rate of firing. The rightward head turn produces the opposite pair of responses. Hair cells in the right horizontal canal ampule are depolarized, whereas hair cells on the right and the left horizontal canal ampule are hyperpolarized. How the changing level of activity in the right and left horizontal canal receptors influences horizontal eye movements. Again, how the changing level of activity in the right and left horizontal canal receptors influences horizontal eye movements. Okay, just wrap our heads around that for a minute. Okay. The left and right semicircular canals of each fundamental pair, such as the left and right horizontal canals, always respond oppositely to any head movements that affects them. This fact leads to the push-pull concept of vestibular function, which states that the directional sensitivity of head movement is coded by opposite receptor signals. Because of commissurial connections, neurons in the vestibular nuclei receive information from receptors on both sides of the head. These neurons act as comparator units that interpret head rotation on the basis of the relative discharge rates of left and right canal afferents. This pattern of connections also increases the sensitivity of the system so that even small differences in the discharge rates of afferences from corresponding canal pairs, such as in slow head movements, can be perceived. During a leftward head turn, the comparator units receive impulses at higher frequency from the left horizontal canal than from the right horizontal canal. The difference is interpreted as a left head turn. Similar conditions exist when the head is pitched or rolled so that the vertical semicircular canals are stimulated by rotational accelerations in their respective planes. However, in the case of vertical canals, the opposing push-pull responses occur between the anterior semicircular canal in one end and the posterior semicircular canal of the opposite end. Okay, that was a whole lot of reading to talk about the semicircular canals. Okay. Now, here at ScienceDirect is also another interesting article about the origin of hearing and balance, the origin of balance, okay. More on the vestibular system from a guy with a whole bunch of letters at the end of his name. Okay. He's got something to tell you right there. Okay, and then it goes on and on and on. You can read the full chapter, clinical points, blase, blase B, blah, blah, blah. Okay, overview of the peripheral vestibular, blah, blah, blah. All right, so all this is important. It's great to know. Okay, where are we going with this? Okay, so the ear crystals. I think, actually, hold on. Let me find that. Okay, and these are our ears, and I want to show you. Actually, that's probably not going to take us where we want. All right, so I'm going to scoot up here. Okay, so this right here is the little tiny crystals are lining the wall with the semicircular canals, the ducts, are lined with these crystals. And I want to try and find a better picture of the crystals for you. But you can see, I'm showing you normal positions of the crystals, and then you have, looks like clouds up here in the sky, are the shifted crystals, but it's kind of floating. They're floating in this fluid, that's the problem. And the crystals can float into the wrong part of the canal. So it can go from here, literally can go from, as I understand it, can go from here into the ear part, if I'm not mistaken. I may be mistaken, but I'm not sure. But the point is that these loose crystals are what would, medically speaking, be giving someone the vertigo. Okay, so what you're seeing here is a picture of the inner ear canal stones. Okay. And it says here, the caption underneath it says here, balancing stone from inner ear, colored scanning electron microscope, SEM, of crystals of calcium carbonate, gray, on the surface of an otolith. An otolith, or otoconium, is a calcified stone that is found in the otolith organs of the inner ear. They are attached to sensory hairs, and when the head tilts, the stone's movements can cause nerve impulses that allow a sense of balance and orientation to be maintained in humans. All right. I'm going to click on see more, see what it says. Okay. To maintain. In humans, octoconia range from 3 to 30 microns, which is a millionth of a meter across, and this magnification is unknown. All right, so these crystals here, growth, you see they're actually growing, like this is pretty gnarly here, like bones. There's a calcium carbonate, it's the same thing that your bones are made of. Okay. So I wanted to get a picture of this, and these are apparently, they're, looks like that they're all in there. I'll get a close-up of this. All right. So these are these are the crystals in your ear that cause, that these line the walls of the semicircular ducts, which are responsible for your vertigo. Okay. So in the standard medical case, these crystals become loose and float around in the fluid that's in that ear. Okay. Now, that's not what we're talking about here. What is related to the Schumann harmonics here? Okay. Let me find you what is related to the Schumann harmonics here. Okay. I want to show you. This is a great picture. I'll just let this play for a minute. Okay, that is the piezoelectric principle at work. You can see a pressure or a force is coming on both sides. Where are we? Here we are. It's coming on both sides. Squeezing, unsqueezing, squeezing, unsqueezing. Okay. And then it is registering, as you see, up here, a voltage. You see the voltage. So it keeps changing. Ding, ding, ding. This is the piezoelectric. All right. So as in the case of an induction coil, it works both ways. That if you put a pressure on it, it'll create an electric charge. Or, likewise, if you throw an electric charge to it, it'll deform in predictable ways. Okay. Which is very useful if you want to do something in physics with it. Okay. So this here is the piezoelectric. All right. So you see our little diagram over here. Okay, let me scroll down here and I'll read. And I'm close to the end of this video, so I'm going to have to close it soon. I just wanted to introduce what's happening here to wrap this up. Okay. So piezoelectricity is the electric charge that accumulates in certain solid materials such as crystals, certain ceramics, and biological matter such as bone, DNA, and various proteins. In response to applied mechanical stress, that was a comment. In reply to a mechanical stress. All right, let me read this over. Piezoelectricity is the electric charge that accumulates in certain solid materials such as crystals, certain ceramics, and biological matter such as bone, DNA, and various proteins in response to applied mechanical stress. The word piezoelectricity means electricity resulting from pressure and latent heat. It is derived from the Greek word piezin, okay, pi, I recognize some of the letters, which means to squeeze or press. The electron, which means amber, an ancient source of electric charge. French physicists Jacques and Pierre Curie discovered piezoelectricity in 1880, and I would not doubt that his wife, Madame Curie, had something to do with it as well. The piezoelectric effect results from the linear electromechanical interaction between the mechanical and the electrical states in crystalline materials with no inversion symmetry. The piezoelectric effect is a reversible process. Materials exhibiting the piezoelectric effect, which is the internal generation of electric charge resulting from an applied mechanical force, also exhibit also exhibit the reverse piezoelectric effect, the internal generation of the mechanical strain resulting from an applied electrical field, for example, lead, zircon, titanate. Crystals will generate measurable piezoelectricity when their static structure is deformed by about 0.01% of the original dimension. Conversely, those same crystals would change about 0.01 of their static dimension when an external electric force is applied to the material. The inverse piezoelectric effect is used in the production of ultrasonic sound waves. That's okay, there you go. And I also know that there are speaker manufacturers who have piezoelectric tweeters. Piezo is not the type of technology that you would use in a low frequency type of